Hello everyone, it's Run the NBA back here for another NBA offseason preview video. And today we're going to be talking about the Philadelphia 76ers, as they are most surely going to move on from the duo of Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons this summer. And we all know which one is staying and which one is going. Joel Embiid is the guy, especially when he is healthy. Health is still the concern. But Ben Simmons, healthy or not, is just a concern. He's developed into one of the best defensive players in the league, but his offense is still pretty much as bad, if not worse, than it was when he entered the league. He's still a very good playmaker and has some potential to be a very good point forward with a lot of defensive upside and abilities. But his ability to be a shot maker, a shot creator, to even have confidence to shoot free throws and attack the rim is something that has to be in question right now. So we're going to be talking about that a bit in this video, as well as what is the direction moving forward for Philadelphia as they move past the duo of Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid, look to improve the team, retool the team, and how they could look to do that in an offseason that is going to see a lot of change at the top of the roster for the Philadelphia 76ers. So here we are on Basketball Reference. And as you see for Philadelphia, money is a concern for them moving forward. They have $127 million guaranteed that they are going to be paying next year, minus the fact that George Hill is on a non-guaranteed contract for next year, and they could decide to let him go, and that gets them another $10 million, and it's possible they will do that with the improvement of Shake Milton, Tyrese Maxey, if they feel that they are going to be able to retain both of them in whatever trades they make this summer. Now, that being said, they do have some core decisions to make outside of Ben Simmons this summer, and that's what we're going to talk about first. Of course, the free agents consist of Danny Green, Mike Scott, Korkmaz, and Dwight Howard, four important bench players for this team. Danny Green, of course, being a starter for a large part of it as well. He's now off of that deal that he got after he left the Raptors that he was signed to by the Lakers, and there's no doubt he's going to get a lot less than $15 million in free agency this summer, but he's still someone that can offer some good defense, leadership, veteran, and championship experience, and some inconsistent, although not terrible, three-point shooting as well. He might not get much more than a veteran's minimum, but he can be someone who brings in a lot of veteran leadership and experience and championship pedigree to a team, and I'm sure Philadelphia will have no issue wanting to bring him back if it can be at the right price. Mike Scott, still a good role player on the wing to have, who can give them some good depth as far as a two-way guy who can bring you some good defense and energy. Korkmaz, someone who this kind of flown under the radar, hasn't quite lived up to the potential that maybe some people have had for him coming into the league, but nonetheless, he has developed into a very good three-point shooter, and someone that Philadelphia should look to bring back as well. And then Dwight Howard, wouldn't be shocked if he wants to go somewhere else, if he fancies his shot at another title somewhere else, but it's not completely out of the woods to consider that he may come back to Philadelphia. I just wouldn't expect it. That being said, the future isn't all that bleak in Philadelphia, even with a Ben Simmons trade, and the fact that Ben Simmons hasn't developed as well as most people would have hoped, expected, and liked. They still have Tobias Harris for the next 3 years. They still have Joel Embiid locked up for the next 2. Steph Curry's locked up for the next 2. Matisse Thybulle is under for the next 2, and Maxey for 3, and Milton for 2. They have some core guys, young and in their prime, locked up for the next few years. But it's after those next few years when things start to get a little bit more bleak, and the decisions that they make in the next summer or two could become vital for the future of this roster. What do they get back for Ben Simmons? How does he fit, or they fit, with Joel Embiid, and how much of them are win-now pieces compared to win-in-the-future pieces? I'm sure Philadelphia won't look to be rebuilding or getting a whole bunch of just picks for Ben Simmons. They'll want immediate talent they can get on the roster, but I don't doubt that they're probably not going to get anyone as good value-wise on the court as Ben Simmons, so they're probably going to take a little bit of a step back, specifically on the defensive end, and that's going to be an issue for them, because as I noted, Joel Embiid only has 2 more years left on his contract, and although everything has been relatively good in Philadelphia, the relationship with Ben Simmons hasn't ever been to a point off the court where it's been an issue. It's just been the on the court issues, and now he'll be gone. But with that being said, Joel Embiid has really shown over the last year or two now, specifically this last season, he wants to elevate his game, he wants to win, he wants to compete. If Philadelphia don't provide a roster for him that he feels he can do that moving forward, then he might look to opt out of signing an extension with Philadelphia as he enters age 29, going into free agency. That's kind of a point in time, especially for a center at his size, at his injury concern. His career is not going to go till 37, 38, especially not at the top level. And so at age 29, he very well might want to leave, and he might want to go play for a championship contender. And that's something that Philadelphia have to be worried about. They can retain everyone. This team has some good pieces. Tobias Harris is fine, although probably overpaid. Joel Embiid, when healthy, is an MVP caliber type player. Steph Curry proved to be very valuable for this team and be very good on the offensive end. But he's Thibault, if he can figure out his offense, has absolutely unlimited potential, with him being the potential to be the best defensive player in the league. Therese Maxey has potential, and Shake Milton as well out of the backcourt. Have them either as starters or off at the bench remains to be seen on how they develop. But they have good options here, and so it really comes down to what can they get back for Ben Simmons, aka can they add a perimeter scorer and creator this offseason. Now that doesn't have to be via Ben Simmons trade, that could be via a separate trade, but then they either have to do one of two things. Ben Simmons either needs to be traded for the guy that is going to be their perimeter creator and scorer, or they need to trade Ben Simmons in a way that doesn't bring back too much salary onto the team so that they have money as far as salary cap goes to be able to bring in someone like Kyle Lowry via sign and trade, like Colin Sexton via trade. Someone of those types of lines that they've been rumored with that they could bring in to be the perimeter guy for them to get those buckets late in games when they need it, to be their leader as a point guard. That is what they're going to have to make sure that they can accomplish with the Ben Simmons trade, or allow themselves to have the flexibility to do with the Ben Simmons trade moving into the summer. Because as it is right now, if it's Joel Embiid, Tobias Harris, and the rest of the group, with not another good third piece added in replacement for Ben Simmons, this is not going to be a championship contending roster. They're going to be a middle of the pack team in the East. They're not going to be competing for NBA titles. And that is when you're going to be concerned about Joel Embiid leaving and having him potentially test free agency at age 29 in the 2023 offseason. I feel they can avoid that with the right moves if they can put a competitive roster out on the court. But if they struggle to do that this summer, and this summer is probably where this is going to be made or broken, then Joel Embiid could find his way out of Philadelphia. And that's why I say that this offseason is very, very crucial for Philadelphia, more than just what they can get back for Ben Simmons, but whether they can keep Joel Embiid past his current contract for the next 2 years. With that being said, I don't think it's all negative, doom and gloom and grim for the Philadelphia 76ers. I think the fact that Joel Embiid hasn't discussed much displeasure yet as far as wanting to leave Philadelphia is fairly positive, especially if Ben Simmons leaves and they can get a decent return for him. And I don't think there's going to be too much reason for him to have concerns in the immediate future. If the only disgruntlement for Joel Embiid, for the most part, in Philadelphia has been a little bit with, of course, when Brett Brown was the head coach, and Ben Simmons as his co-star just not doing his job. Those are most likely both not going to be in the picture coming into next season. Brett Brown, of course, is not. Ben Simmons is likely not to be as well. And so the future is still very bright for Philadelphia. I'm not going to be talking about any Ben Simmons potential trades within this video. That is something I will do at a later date. If it happens before the draft, I will be sure to get on it and tell you my thoughts on it. If it happens after the draft, then I will have some trade machines on Ben Simmons out. For that will be a separate video. But that is my thoughts on Philadelphia moving into this offseason. And what could potentially be an offseason that affects their future a lot more than I think people are thinking about or talking about. Potential free agency of Joel Embiid, only 2 years away. Let me know what you guys think about the Philadelphia 76ers moving into this year's offseason. And if you have any concerns about the lack of return they could get for Ben Simmons, or if Joel Embiid could potentially walk within a couple of years. If you guys did enjoy the video, feel free to leave a like down below and subscribe to the channel if you are new, as I will keep you up to date on all of the draft, trade, and free agency news as we move into the most exciting part of the NBA season for me, and what is sure to be a very busy offseason. Now only a few days away from the draft. It's going to be a great time. I hope you guys enjoy it. Content, and be sure to stay tuned if you want more updates on all of the action this summer. You guys have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you guys in the next one.